Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next Wasteless World Talks with Kevin and Bill today. And before we start, let me hand you over a greeting from Elena Lazarovskaya from Belarus. She's the ambassador in Belarus, and she greets you, Bill, because you know her, and she greets you, Kevin, as well, because you deserve it. So the greeting for three old men from Belarus. Unfortunately, she cannot join, but maybe next time. Let's see. But let's start the standard way. The topic today is the word blue as a color, blue. And I would like to start with you, Kevin. If you close your eyes and you hear the term blue, what came first to your mind? Your microphone is switched off.
Sorry about that. It's not a color, it's music. And in fact, one particular bar in Los Angeles, I went once with some friends to the blues bar owned by John Belushi. And we went there and it was absolutely crowded. And the manager said, listen, you can come in, but the only space we have is the boss's private room. So if he comes, you have to leave. We said, sure, no problem. And then after half an hour, he said, guys, I'm sorry, the boss is right. We said, that's okay, no problem. And then he said, listen, go to this bar and show them my card. So we went there and he arranged drinks for us. And I just think it's such a stylish thing to do. So blue and the blues bar goes hand in glove.
Great answer. Thank you. What about you, Bill?
I'm afraid I don't have a great story like that. But when you first said the word, I thought of what blue means. That is, blue is used patriotically. In America, it's red, white, and blue. Blue is used by a lot of nations in their flag. Blue almost has a political or national meaning. And it means other things too, as the color blue. It's my favorite color, by the way. So thank you for choosing it. But I go outside of my condo here and I walk to the ocean, and the sky is blue and the ocean is blue, and it's an immense color.
You know, we had this color or this discussion in the noon discussion. There was Charito, there was Anjon, Michael from Uganda. So generally, three countries. And it was very interesting because at the beginning, we realized we don't know a single association where blue is in a negative aspect. All what we thought about sky, water, emotions, all was positive. That was surprising for me. And we have been discussing whether there are other colors like that. Or do you know anything negative connected to blue?
Yeah, a depressed mood is called having the blues. So if you're depressed, you're feeling blue.
We don't have this in Czech.
Yeah, we do. It's if you're just feeling down and can't seem to get your spirits up, or nothing's fun, everything's oppressive, you have the blues. And the way to get out of the blues is to go get into nature in some way. Go down to the ocean, go into the forest. That's my answer to the blues.
Do you know the term blue ocean? And I don't mean the water. I mean blue ocean as an expression.
Yeah.
Fill me in.
Kevin, if you can explain, I will see whether it is the same.
I think it means uncharted territory. So if you're going into, or you develop a piece of business which is new, so you're entering new territory, that's blue water.
Exactly. And this is, for example, the first social media, like Facebook was a blue ocean project. All the others has been just copies. Industry 5.0 is a blue ocean. And And I think it was developed in the US, Silicon Valley, somewhere around them, something like that. I learned this term a few years ago. I didn't know about it, but it's quite interesting because, Industry 5.0 was from scratch. Nobody prevented waste in industrial scale before. So it was quite interesting, and I really enjoy it because every blue ocean project is very interesting. First of all, you cannot do anything wrong because you are the one who decide the rules. The second one, you have no competitors. There are simple no competitors. For me, for 11 years, there are no competitors. Nobody tried to do the same. That's crazy. They try to stop me, but they don't try to do similar. What is interesting. And, it's so interesting because you can see every single movement, every step, every wave, everything you see behind. If you turn and look back at the ocean, you see the islands. And it's not lifeless. It's generally a blue ocean full of life. So it's so interesting. And when we had this a discussion, because my three guests in the noon discussion did not know about this term, so I explained. And we realized that, even you and you, Kevin, you have at least one blue ocean project. I'm sure you have more, but at least one, which started at the moment of your birth. Nobody did this before. And with your children, exactly the same. Every single child is a blue ocean project. It's so interesting.
I like that term. It's very attractive to me for one reason, because we spend so much of our time doing what people tell us to do, or what you should do. I hate that word, by the way. Doing what you should do. That blue ocean, and I'm just thinking about getting in my kayak and paddling straight out. Just keep going. Just keep going. And nobody tells you what to do out there. Nobody. That's the blue ocean concept, I guess, where you make the decisions. Although out on the ocean, you can make a mistake.
And I said only the nice thing. There are a lot of things are very difficult. To introduce Blue Ocean Project, how you will speak about something about nobody ever heard about, or you have to invent new terms, new words, new meanings, and so on. So every single time we sit in here, I think we are sitting in Wasteless World Talks on the edge, on the shore of Blue Ocean. Every time is a new one. Every week is a new one, That's the Blue Oceans. And they all are in this big one called Wasteless World, in the right direction. And that's so great. It feels so great.
It does. It feels good to be exploring and realizing, recognizing, experiencing new things that I have never experienced before. And we just keep finding so many that I've never experienced before.
Actually, Bill, talking about your kayak, did you know that there's a category of yacht called blue ocean yachts? And they're the yachts made for crossing oceans.
Blue ocean yachts.
It's just
I wonder
the
if
possibilities sound endless.
Have they ever made a blue ocean kayak? Probably. I don't know. I don't know.
No.
I'll watch out for it.
But it is really great. So the blue is really connected. I think the blues, as you mentioned, is the only negative aspect. I was thinking about green, but I think that the green gets the negative annotation when it was connected for the first time with money. I don't know why, because we have few banknotes which are green. I do remember few from my youth, but all the others are not green. So they have different colors. But still, if we speak about green. And then came sustainability and all this greenwashing and so on. So the green, I think, has a lot of this negative. But I know that there exists blue fuel and blue whatever, but still I don't think it's so spread. So it still did not deliver the damage, I would say.
Yeah, there's blue hydrogen, which is
yeah.
quite good. Did you know the green used to be the color of revolution in the 17th and 18th century in rural England when there was a lot of uprisings? Green rather than red was the color of revolution.
I didn't know. Was it because of being, I don't think it was because it was the color of nature.
No, I don't know. But do you know that no flags in the world have the color purple, or they never used to until a few years ago? Do you know why that is?
No idea.
No.
Because purple is too expensive. It only came from one place, from a tiny little shellfish. And so nobody could have purple flags.
Royal purple.
Yes, yeah.
Right. It was so expensive that only royalty could afford it.
If you speak about royal, there was one part of the discussion. John from India, he said royal blood is blue. And generally, in Czech Republic, we say the same.
Right. Blue blood. He comes from blue blood. Right.
And the question is where this came from, because if I cut or if some king cut his hand, I'm sure his blood will not be blue.
Kevin, do you know that? You know a lot of history.
Yeah, no, I know the expression blue bloods, but I don't know where it came from.
Because maybe it is connected to some species which has blue blood before. And there has been pharaohs, or I don't know. So maybe it is somehow connected to the reality. But I think that I know that animals has different color of blood. Some of them do not have red because of lack of oxygen and a lot of things, so which I do not know anything about. But I know that some have even dark or black or different colors. Not sure about blue. Not sure about blue.
The sunfish has blue blood.
Yeah.
I think. And when you see it, one being prepared, it's extremely strange to see blue blood. And the meat is white, but of course it's tinted blue rather than red. It's very beautiful in a way.
Bill is drinking this plant tea, which I do not remember the plant, against the coughing. And if you put the water on it, it's a blue. It's so it's so unbelievable blue. Unfortunately, it does not keep the color. After 2 minutes, it disappears, but it's so beautiful. And I even find out that this plant, Bill, really, they call it blue tea. And it's sold as a blue tea. It's different type of the same plant, but I just find it out today before this meeting.
I think blue is the rarest color in our foods and in our diet.
Blue is the rarest color?
Yeah, of all the things we eat. Not much we eat is actually blue.
Is
Jello.
Anything blue?
Jello.
I don't eat Jello. There are some mushrooms here in my country which are standard brown, but if you cut them, they become blue. In Austria, they call it evil mushrooms, and they don't pick it up. So there was a lot of, and they are really tasty. So it's good to go to Austria to pick them up because they do not. So, but to be honest, I don't know anything else. It's quite interesting. And the fact is, there was a drink, Gatorade. It was quite popular because of Wimbledon and so. And one of the version, I know blue already. One of the version was blue, blueberries, and the similar, they are blue. But if you squish them, they are red.
Yep.
So there are some. You are right. They are rare.
Yeah. And I guess same in nature. There's most of the creatures that are blue are either sea creatures or display creatures, like parrots and macaws and things like that. It's not a camouflage color.
Do you know many people with blue eyes?
Yes,
I mean,
in
people who
Scandinavia.
you know personally.
Yeah.
Because in Asia, there are almost none. In my country, I know few, really. I will count them on one hand, probably.
Yeah, in Scandinavia, blue eyes is the most common color of eye.
Right.
So it's quite interesting, the color. The question is if we can utilize it. You know, if we speak about Earth, so it's blue marble. I like the expression. And some English people told me that they never heard about it. I don't know where I came with it, but I think I read it somewhere in English text. Not sure. But blue marble, it's beautiful description.
It's a great description. I think it goes back to the first astronauts, and when they turned around and looked back at Earth, I think the description blue marble started then. I could be wrong.
Have you read that yesterday Russia acknowledged for the first time in history that the US astronaut has really landed on moon?
It took them a few years, didn't it?
Officially yesterday was approved.
Congratulations, Bill.
And then there are some people here, the conspiracy theorists here, don't believe that. It was all staged by Hollywood.
You know.
But I read a statistic that 1 American in 10 believes that lizard men control the government.
Well, they do. Only lizard men could be making this sort of decisions.
I thought the most interesting thing I saw about this thing with lizard men was that they claim that all the presidents have been lizard men except for one, which was George W. I mean, they didn't want to take responsibility for that one.
I don't even know what a lizard man is. What is a lizard man?
Apparently, it's a species of aliens that secretly control our lives and all governments and everything.
And I
on
think
the blue
there was
marble
a science fiction about it, and there was a series about it. I think there was quite a lot in the, I will say, late 70s, 80s, somewhere around it, I think. And the question is, you know, if I imagine lizard, I can imagine the blue blood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know whether they have it, but I can imagine the blue blood there.
So I just got a message from my friend Mr. Google, and he says that the phrase blue blood originates from an old sentiment that aristocratic blood was blue. There, settled by he who knows everything.
Oh no, 3 old man knows a lot more. And the question is, you know, I just try to imagine how many blue cars are on the roads. And I do remember when I was a kid, there has been much more blue cars on the roads.
I remember reading an opinion piece about how the color of cars or the percentage of each color in the world of cars changes over time. And when times are hard and economically, I guess, then the color goes to I forget. And when things are good, it goes to yellow and red. I don't know if there's any accuracy in that. but it is a reflection somehow. That would be a reflection of national or regional sentiment about how well we're doing, perhaps.
I must admit, I like when you see Ford Mustangs from the early 70s. Ford had the best blue, the best green, and the best yellow in the world. They were fantastic. So bright, so vibrant. They just don't make cars with those colors anymore. It's really a pity. Now they're all sober gray and silver and black. And, we need more bright colored cars.
If you speak about black, there was a Michael Van Uzi, which is my ambassador in Uganda, and I asked him, and I asked Charita, what is the favorite color, the positive, and he said black, because it's
Black for positive?
Yes, because it's the color of my skin. And
Okay.
then I asked Charito, and Charito is from Philippines, and she said white. But you know yourself that there are countries for which white is the set color, so the morning color. I think some of the Indians and some over there in Asia. But in other countries, it's the happiness. And for black, it's exactly the same. Some countries, black can be the positive color, and white is the negative. So it's generally quite interesting to look, but the blue, same. And I think it's connected because if we move our head and look upside, there is blue. And I will say if we look downside on the rivers, in Czech Republic, there is no blue water. So very rare, very rare. So rivers are not blue, lakes are not blue. I don't think if any place is blue. Maybe in some really remote places. Or swimming pools.
I will send you both a picture.
Great. Thanks a lot. I will enjoy
We
it.
look up, we see gray. It is the most miserable summer. But did you know there was a tribe of people in Morocco called the Blue Men of Morocco?
No.
They're famous, they make a blue dye. And of course, as they're making this dye and it's all handmade, they begin to turn blue themselves.
That's interesting. And I know, of course, there are this blue, how they are called, this music artists, blue men or something like that they are called. They play a music on different, not instruments, on Brooklyn Bridge, for example. They start to play on the ropes and so on. They are quite famous. I do not remember the name. Blue something.
Yeah, I think they're called the Blue Men. It's
I think Blue
all
Men,
percussion, isn't it?
Yeah. They have all the time masks, so you don't know who they are, and they are all blue.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we reached to the blue. We came to the conclusion that it's not so frequently misused. So why not to use it for our work, for the construction of Wasteless World, which of course is blue and green. Maybe we should do.
Interesting. Blue is the corporate color.
Blue is a corporate color, right? Right. IBM blue.
Yeah.
Or there are, but blue is a very corporate color. Why is that?
I
Does
think
that
it
come
must
out
be
of the
IBM.
50s and 60s?
Yeah.
Corporate color, yeah. And companies, they have a specific blue, and there's a, what do they call the numbers? There's a specific number associated with that blue. I'm trying to remember what they call those numbers, but it
Pantone
identifies.
numbers.
What is it?
Pantone numbers.
Pantone numbers, yeah. And there's a very specific one for IBM Blue and so on. And so it's the marketing department's job to make sure there is no blue anywhere around except this one Pantone color.
TNT has the same for this orange generally, but why then we call the workers the blue collar workers? Blue collar. Blue, is it color?
Oh yeah, blue collar, the blue collar workers, because people who work in offices wear white shirts. I can still remember when Motorola told us we did not have to wear white shirts every day. It could have faint blue stripes in it. But so we were white collar workers, and the people on the factory floor were called blue collar workers because generally they had overalls on, and generally the overalls were blue.
Not
Although if you're
anymore.
working out on the road crew, your overalls are orange so the speeding cars can see you and not hit you.
I do remember a time when I joined a company which was generally originated in America, and there was this casual Friday,
Yes.
and I have a problem because since the college, I never had my jeans. I have only business whatever dress, and they said, and the boss said, you must come in jeans, and I was confused because I had none. For a long
It's not
time,
it's
I
not too late.
no, I have them right now, but it seems like they are shrinking and my legs are not so flexible anymore. So it's not so easy to dress them.
But it's interesting with dress in advertising. The creatives could wear more or less what they wanted, while the account guys had to wear white shirts and a tie and a sports jacket. And gradually, as things relaxed, the account people dressed more like creatives, and the creatives dressed more like road workers. It was.
Do you think that there will be similar intention to differentiate robots, especially the humanoid robots?
I don't know. You think until 60 years ago, we all wore a uniform of one kind or another.
And women had a different set of choices for their wardrobe than men did. So we started with the casual Friday to wear Hawaiian shirts. So we call it Hawaiian Shirt Day, um, because there were a lot of different ways to express yourself with the shirts.
I just wonder, I just saw the Elon Musk new humanoid robot as I think he folded some clothing or so. So the flexibility, it's really, really interesting. And there is expected, I think it was a news from China, it's expected in 2 years that there will be in some factories more humanoid robots than the humans themselves. And all the time I'm asking myself, first of all, why should robots do the same working process like human with two hands, two legs? It's completely nonsense. So
Right.
stupidity. But the second is, which came right now to me, okay, if there will be robots on Gemba, the bosses will probably one day be robots as well. How they will recognize who is boss and who is not. Will he have more hands or two heads?
Well, you're saying he, so is there a gender with robots? I
Uh,
guess you could build it that way. Um, but why would you need a boss to to boss around the worker robots? I think the programmer uh, would be the boss. I don't know. I'm 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 glad to see robots on the factory floor. Some of those jobs are so tedious. I watched someone on a punch machine putting the plate in, pulling it out, inspecting it visually, and then putting it in one of two piles. How mind-numbing that is. And at the end of 8 hours, don't you just want to scream? Or at some point in there, just jump up and scream? And some people have been there for 10 years doing this job. Or the very, very dangerous ones. I'm happy to see robots and let humans do more of what they're good at, imagining and laughing and bringing joy to the world.
Do you know what is this?
A CD?
No, it's generally the middle part of a vinyl record. And if they need to, and there is a paper layer on it. This is the description of the record. When they make a wrong or NG vinyl record, they cut this out. There is a machine exactly as you describe it, and he punch it away, and the rest of the record is regranulated. But for this, they have to cut it. And I was in a factory. There was a man, old man, all his life cutting this. And he did it with one hand, all the time with only one hand. And when we walked through, the boss says, "Hey, Joseph," or I don't remember the name. "Show the guys what you can." And he take this center, which is really plastic and hard to crash, and he take it and he just did, and crash it immediately. Then he take a stone and he crashed the stone because this one hand was so strong, because he was all the repeated task all his life. The second hand was so weak that he can hardly move something, but the right one was so strong. So exactly as you described.
I saw a documentary about they were digging up some medieval bones from soldiers, and they could see the soldiers that were archers because their left arm was so much bigger bones than their right arm from holding the bow. So it's amazing that your occupation can physically change you.
And I think you can see it everywhere. I do remember when I was a guide on the castle here, it was in the 90s, so shortly after the Velvet Revolution, after the communist time, the Czech seniors, some of them has not been able to walk 11 stairs up to the church. The foreigners from the West, Dutch, Germans, British, and so on, they run 100 stairs up to the top, top tower, which was open there. So it was so visible, the difference between really, I will not call it hardworking, but work damaging health, which was delivered here. What was interesting that after 20 years, and no more than 20 years, you don't see this anymore, because you see the people in 70s, 80s, riding on skates and bikes, what you never saw before. So it was quite fast development. On the other hand, as you said, Bill, you would like to see the people doing, let's say, meaningful work or something what they enjoy. The question is, we are losing the ability to find this type of work. We cannot define it ourselves. We think that taking the smartphone or sitting in front of a TV and complaining with the TV is this type of work. Unfortunately, we are losing this critical thinking, which we touched many times before. We are losing this ability to think. And I think that's very dangerous, especially if we will put the robots in a factory, let the people out, and they will not know what to do. So for me, there will be the start of a war, because war is one place where they will find, at least for a few minutes, the satisfaction.
We have several discussions tried to find perspective, and this trend that you're describing with the smartphones and so on, if we look back in history, we realize. So, for example, when cars were first introduced, and that was very quick, around 1900 or the late 1890s. I saw two pictures of the same intersection in New York City, and the picture taken at around the year 1900 at this intersection, there were no cars. There were buggies, there were horses, there were no cars. 10 years later, 1910, there were no horses, only cars. In 10 years, it went that fast. And so, and now we have all sorts of rules. Didn't have rules before. Didn't have speed limits, didn't have right side or left side, none of this. Um, and so I look at the cell phone, the smartphone, a lot like the introduction of the cars. It was adopted very quickly. And we have yet to come up with the guidelines. AI, the same thing. We have yet to come up with, we're now coming up with guidelines, watermarks and so on. And cell phones in this country, the school district that encompasses Los Angeles, California, which is the second biggest school district in the country, has banned cell phones from school. And now several other cities are also passing the same rule. It's just too big of a distraction. And we are realizing that we need some rules. And so that's, when we talk about how we envision the future with the trends, the cell phone is just a shiny object. It doesn't really do anything. It's the ripple effects that come off of it and the ripple effect strings. And at the end of every ripple effect string is an ethics and a governance and a stratification issue. So the earlier we start talking about the ethics of AI or the ethics of smartphones or the governance of them, the quicker that technology will become useful and less damaging, right? But of course, the technology will change, so that's a never-ending struggle. So I'm very hopeful. We have always been able to put up the guardrails for new technologies after the technologies are introduced. I'm hopeful that the lights out factory with just robots in it, we will learn how to deal with that.
Just to remind both of you, 1 minute 30.
Where I live, I've moved to a new place and there's a lot of grass. And 24 hours a day, there's robot grass cutters going around cutting the grass. They know their patch. They know when they're running low on battery to go back into their box and recharge themselves. Now they come again. And there's something actually really reassuring about seeing these things going around. But I'm sure that the old guy, retired guy whose job was to cut the grass doesn't feel the same way.
We have to end. Unfortunately, we have to end. We have less than 1 minute. So I would like to thank you, Bill and Kevin, for having great discussion about blue. The end came out of blue. And have a nice time. Free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human, and enjoy the blue color which should be there with us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.